Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Across from me is the talented and just overall fabulous producer, Carlene
Nick.
Bragg. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. It is Friday. We made it. A lot has happened this week.
A busy Friday than usual. Usually Fridays are a little slow. Yeah. Not today.
It's a lot. And so I don't want to waste any time. So let's get out to Washington, D.C. This is the live look of the White House. This is President Trump. Just to give you some context, in case you haven't heard, the Supreme Court handing out a major decision today, frankly, a big win for the Trump administration about allowing the window for the Trump administration to take steps to implement its proposal to end automatic birthright citizenship. President Trump has been speaking for over an hour, or about an hour at this point.
Yeah.
So he's taking questions from reporters. Let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
Action.
Threaten my life? Yeah, they have threatened. I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while. Get that throbbing feeling, but you know what? That's okay. It is a dangerous business. What I do is a dangerous business. You know, I tell the story of the car companies and different people in different professions. You have race car drivers, as an example. 1/10 of 1% die. Bull riders, 1/10 of 1%. That's not a lot, but it's people die. When you're president, it's about 5%. If somebody would have told me that, maybe I wouldn't have run. Okay? This is a very dangerous profession. Yeah, please. By the way, so many questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? This is the opposite of Biden. Biden would take a half a question and he'd leave without answering it. Go ahead.
On Iran.
You tell me when it gets boring. Okay.
If Iran...
Are you from Iran?
No, I'm not from Iran. I'm from the UK. But if the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Sure, without question, absolutely.
And have you had any conversations?
Turned out to be unbelievable. But, you know, our incredible flyers and I call them the shots. These guys are unbelievable. Think, from 52,000 feet, they hit the equivalent of a refrigerator door. They actually hit it right in the center, so it's much smaller than that. And just bomb after bomb going deeper, deeper, blowing up. Incredible, incredible thing. I don't know if you heard the general. He was very impressive. Raisin Cane. You know, he's the one that beat ISIS for me. And he did it in a matter of weeks. And I was told it was going to take 4 or 5 years. And when I got this job, I always said, if I get this job, I'm going to put that guy as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And Dan Kane, and he, when I heard his name was Raisin, his nickname is Raisin Cane. I said, you got to be kidding. So I liked him right from the beginning. But he knocked out ISIS in a time that nobody ever thought possible. And when this attack was completed and so successful, I said, now I know how you knocked out ISIS so quickly. But we have the best people, we have the best equipment in the world. You know, I rebuilt the military during my 4 years, during my other term. We have the best equipment in the world. The problem is we gave away, you know, a lot of it, but small, relatively speaking. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan. Shouldn't have happened. That just shows how incompetent they were. They gave all that equipment away, billions and billions of dollars worth. Shouldn't have happened, but that was small compared to what we have. Now we have a great military with great people. Okay. Please.
Mr. President, congratulations. A couple of very different questions. One is Rwanda, 1994. As you grew up in New York, we all knew how horrific those attacks were. Congratulations on that treaty. There are talks that perhaps...
That's going to take place today at 3 o'clock in the Oval Office. We're going to have a signing with Rwanda and the Congo.
I have a follow-up.
So I'm a little out of my league in that one because I didn't know too much about it. I knew one thing. They were going at it for many years and with machetes. It is one of the worst wars that anyone's ever seen. And I just happened to have somebody that was able to get it settled. I mean, just a brilliant person who is very comfortable in that part of the world. It's a very dangerous part of the world. I said, are you uncomfortable there? People are being killed. School children are being raided and killed. And I don't even want to say how, but as viciously as I've ever heard. Are you uncomfortable? No, that's the part of the world that I know. Very comfortable. was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to, look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored. And so we're going to give them a great big reception. But that's after many years of fighting. It's a great thing. That's at 3 o'clock, I believe.
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talked about maybe just
Secret nuclear site?
yes, that there might be some that's
Not
known
really.
or-
Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate, a lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iris Howe with NTD Research Media with the Epoch Times. Thank you
Good.
so much for doing this. It's
Sure.
very refreshing for all of us here
It's a good
in
group.
this room.
It's refreshing.
Very refreshing. Yes, we haven't had
Probably.
this in, for the past
I understand what you mean.
So thank you so much for coming out here.
Other
to
than
talk to us.
Caroline's done a great job.
Yes, sure.
You're referring to the past administration,
Yes,
not to
yes.
Caroline, right?
Yes. Back to the ruling today, if you don't mind. So you have always talked about winning for the American people.
Right.
How do you think today's ruling will enable you to further deliver for American families and workers across the country, not only when it comes to immigration, but also when it comes to trade, energy? What actions are most eager to move forward
Well, I
with
think
now?
taking power away from these absolutely crazy radical left judges is a tremendous, this is such a big day. This is such a big day. It's like, it's sort of sad because we're doing the signing at 3 o'clock, and this may very well dominate the signing of a big war that was going on and really affecting the continent of, think of it, the entire continent of Africa was being affected, and we're settling that war today, and this will probably be a headline. But this is a very big moment, and it gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take power. It takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision. Yeah, please.
Yes, President, thank you very much. On July 9th, is that July 9th date set for tariffs to snap
No.
back, or could there be a...
We can do whatever we want. We could extend it. We could make it shorter. I'd like to make it shorter. I'd like to just send letters out to everybody. Congratulations, you're paying 25%. He doesn't want. He's a much nicer person than I am. Go ahead. Did you finish it up?
Were you considering for the Federal Reserve then speeding up that process? I see that could...
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. I mean, I have a list of things. We're like 38 on the list. We pay, Cameroon and different places are paying the same as us. Because, you have somebody sets a rate at 4% or 4.5%. It's hard to go out and say we should be paying 1% when you have your so-called experts doing that. And the sad part is, as per the question that you asked about tariffs, we've had the tariffs, and we have less inflation than we had before. What we have is a hell of a lot more money, a hell of a lot more income, and we shouldn't be paying a rate like that. In other words, when we pay a rate, I'll tell you, each point is the equivalent of $300 billion. So if we had it down 3 points, because I think we should be at 1, you have Switzerland is at 0.25, in other words, 25% of 1%. And they're the number 1 right now, but we should be the number 1. And soon you're going to have, I think, you're going to have where the people will pay will pay, like we had a few years ago. where you put up money, you loan money, and I mean, you actually, instead of paying, you get paid. I love that. I don't know if it's any good, but I love it, where you put up money and you get paid. But we should be in a category, so we should be at the top of the list, not toward the bottom of the list. But we have a man who's not a smart man, and he probably has Trump derangement syndrome, and he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come, because if we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion. Wouldn't you say those numbers are about right, Scott? So it's 2 points would be about 600, actually more than that, but about $600 billion, all because the guy doesn't want to lower the rates. He's doing the service, a very disservice, and then he goes up and talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. You know, he gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, then he goes out and he goes back to the beach. He goes, I'd like to see costs come down. Well, he could lower the interest cost by $900 billion a year. All he has to do is lower rates. And everybody's saying, I was watching some of the business shows today, and they're saying, you know, Trump's right. He should really be cutting. The country's doing well. We have no inflation. Now, despite him, we're doing great. But if we got the rates down, we would be a rocket ship. So I think that'll be it. And I just want to thank everybody. This is a really big day. We've had a big week. You know, we've had a big week. We've had a lot of victories this week. NATO was a tremendous victory. The war was a tremendous. Look, we were talking about this for 30 years, about Iran being nuclear. And all I said is it will not be nuclear, and it's not going to be nuclear. And, you know, I want to give credit to a lot of people, and most importantly to our great military. Boy, they put out that fire. Once that happened, once those bombs got dropped, that war was over. That war was over. But I just want to compliment them. Incredible. The general and all of his generals. Pete Hegseth was great. They were all, and now I want to compliment Pam. A lot of genius went into this. You know, people, if you don't say it exactly right, if the Supreme Court doesn't get it because it's incorrectly spoken about, and that happens. A lot of cases are lost because they don't say the right words. But I want to correct. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. I may change my mind about that. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll have to call and say, I was only kidding. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. This was a tremendous win. And we've had tremendous wins, but this was a tremendous win today. So I just want to congratulate you and Todd and your whole staff. Very brilliant people. And we can't forget John Sauer.
That's right.
Who was with, there's a medical emergency within his family, so he's taking care of that. And we said absolutely. So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Jeff Bezos on his wedding weekend.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. The time right now, 12:43. The White House, I was about to call it a briefing, but press conference just wrapped up. And this came after a major decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. So a divided Supreme Court. I want to read you what AP News has right now on their website. A divided Supreme Court ruled that individual judges lack the authority to grant nationwide injunctions. But the decision left unclear the fate of President Donald Trump's restrictions on birthright citizenship. Now, the court today, on Friday, issued on the final 6 cases that were left on its docket for the summer, including emergency appeals relating to Trump's agenda. So I just kind of want to list off some of the things in some of the cases. Obviously, as far as the lack of authority to grant, or the lack, ruling that individual judges lack the authority to grant nationwide injunctions. And the reason why this is so important, because the Trump administration is treating this as a major win, because it would allow them to start implementing its proposal to end automatic birthright citizenship. Also, on what the Supreme Court is deciding on, has decided on, the court sided with Maryland parents with religious objections to school book material, also preserved a key part of an Obamacare, Affordable Care Act coverage requirement, also upheld a law aimed at blocking kids from seeing pornography online, and maintained a fee subsidizing phone and internet services in schools, libraries, and rural areas. So these are the issues that the U.S. Supreme Court has decided on. And I'm just reading through some of the blog, some of the parts of the blog AP News has put down. For instance, during that press conference, President Trump, as far as the school decision, he says, Trump says school decision will, quote, bring life back to normal. He also goes on to say, I think the ruling was a great ruling, he said, about the Supreme Court's ruling allowing parents to withdraw students and their children from public school lessons using LGBTQ plus materials. Trump added, quote, they lost control of the schools, they lost control of their child. This is a tremendous victory for parents, as according to President Trump. I'm reading a blog. Some of was written down on this blog by AP News. He also, President Trump, praising Justice Barrett, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Justice Amy Coney Barrett was the third of Trump's 3 Supreme Court nominees from his first term, and she recently faced some criticism for decisions that were not considered necessarily conservative. But Trump brushed off that sentiment on Friday and said, quote, I just have great respect for her. I always have. He said, quote, her decision was brilliantly written today. So a lot happening when it comes to the Supreme Court. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I want to sum it up with this. I'm going to go back to an NBC News article that kind of gives you the big headline, the big chunk of what's happening. The Supreme Court on Friday, which is today, handed a major win to the Trump administration by allowing it to take steps to implement its proposal to end automatic birthright citizenship. In a 6-3 vote, the court granted a request by the Trump administration to narrow the scope of nationwide injunctions imposed by judges so that they apply only to states, groups, and individuals that sued. That means, for example, the birthright citizenship proposal can likely move forward, at least in part in the states that challenged it, as well as those that did not. I want to get to a statement. Let me fire my laptop back up. Attorney General, North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson gave us a statement regarding this. Hold on for one moment. We were listening to the press conference and my laptop closed on me. So it happens. This is Live Impact News. All right. I want to read you a statement from Attorney General Jeff Jackson, his office. All right. So Attorney General Jeff Jackson's statement on SCOTUS decisions. And again, this is a statement from Attorney General Jeff Jackson in North Carolina. So Attorney General Jeff Jackson released the following statements on some of the decisions released by the Supreme Court today in Trump versus CASA. Attorney General Jackson was part of a group of 19 attorneys general defending the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Attorney General Jeff Jackson's statement, it reads, quote, because we took action to defend the Constitution, North Carolinians can still have their 14th Amendment right to full citizenship. While this case has been sent back to a lower court for review, our position remains unchanged. The language of the 14th Amendment is clear, and we are going to defend it, end quote. And this is just one of the statements. He had a number of statements regarding a number of rulings today, but that's just one of the statements from Attorney General Jeff Jackson that I wanted to read that for you guys. So again, big rulings today from the United States Supreme Court. We'll have more on this throughout the show. You see our impact panel, I guess I should point in this direction, with some information in case you have the volume turned down low or in case you don't have the volume on right now. You can read it right here. And again, just to give you a little bit more time to read it, I just want to reiterate from NBC News, the Supreme Court on Friday handed a major win to the Trump administration by allowing it to take steps to implement its proposal to end automatic birthright citizenship, basically narrowing the scope of nationwide injunctions imposed by judges. All right, so that is a story that is continuing to develop. A big story, obviously, for our country, for the Carolinas. So we will continue to follow that.